The scheduled file paragraph 10.2 of the Local Government Act 1972. Apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Mrs H Martin, Councillor Miss Smith, Councillor G Stevenson and Councillor C Winspear.
Item number 2, declaration of interest and request for dispensation. To declare any disclosable pecuniary interest or any other interest which members may have in the following agenda items and considering dispensation request. Item number 3, external report. To receive reports on behalf of external bodies is present. Not the police. Hello.
Good evening. I'll start with the breakdown of the different categories against last year. This year we've had 6 arson damages. Last year we had 11, so that's looking good. Burglary other, we've had 1. Last year we had 2, so that's looking good. Burglary residential, 1 this year, 1 last, so that's at a level. Drug offences, we've had 4 dealt with. Last year we had 2. That's probably because we're doing a lot more work around the drugs. We're stopping more people going to more premises with warrants. Fraud, we've noticed it wasn't recorded on last year's figures. This year we've got 3. Miscellaneous crimes against society, 2, same as last year. Non-crime incidents, we started to put them in the reports. We've got 1 recorded. Public order, we've had 4. Last year we had 2. Sexual offences, 4 this year, 4 last. Theft, all of the thefts, we've got 13. Last year we had 3. Theft, shoplifting, this year we've got 7. Last year 5. Vehicle offences, 2, same as last year. Violence against a person, that's well up at 28. Last year we got 17. That with that affects a lot of domestic violence included, which violence there is recorded on the actual stats. I'll go through the different laws now. Westcliff I'll start with. Broomfield Terrace, we've got a report for no smoking cannabis and cannabis warning was issued. Marine Parade, violence concerns to members of the public. Safety of the male, that was a mental health issue where the male was threatening to harm himself but also threatening passers-by, but all complaints were dropped. Baxter Gate, antisocial behaviour, reports of use smashing bottles on the cash machine. On arrival, no signs of use, no signs of any damage, and we couldn't find any signs of bottle smashing either. Crimes of violence, altercation between neighbours, it's reported incident logging. New King Road, theft of a portable speaker, the inquiries are ongoing on that. Baxter Gate, theft of cosmetics, that's ongoing. The Parade, theft of a lantern, no lines of inquiry. Westcliff, we had fraud, where there was repairs for building repair, and there was no money taken out of the account. Inquiries ongoing on that. Paddy Park, we had a theft of a mobile phone. Somebody left the phone and somebody else picked it up and walked off with it. Pier Road, again, theft of a wallet. Somebody put a wallet down and then somebody decided I'll pick it up. Crescent Avenue, violence, we had 1 male arrested. New Key Road, 1 male arrested. South End Gardens, theft of a mobile phone. Again, it was dropped and picked up. There's no lines of inquiry on that one. Aggersgate, violence, 1 male was arrested. Brunswick Street, violence, another male was arrested. Bagdale, we had drugs, 1 female was arrested for possession. And the one was not on the actual report you've got. I looked at this evening and it was omitted. It wasn't in, it's just that Claire, when she did it, it wasn't actually showing. It was still live on our system. That was on Windsor Terrace, where we had quite a bad assault, where a male sadly died. There's been a male remanded in custody for that. So that's obviously ongoing, and that will come to court later. And there are 6 reports of domestic violence on the West Cliff. Central Elmdale Road, we had a theft and mail back from a shop. For our person being supported to be from HMRC and victim pays £2,000, and that's been reported to action for them to pick up on. Burglary, Abbott's Wharf, allotment entered and 5 chickens stolen. There's no lines of inquiry on that. Staines April Lane, theft of fuel, no lines of inquiry, and the BRM on the vehicle wasn't recognised. Larpool Lane, where theft of a vehicle, it's been put by Cleveland and 2 males was arrested. Bridge Street, drugs, where the male was reported for Class A and been arrested. Green Lane, criminal damage, cars being keyed, again, no lines of inquiry. Staines April Lane, road related offence, reports of male in a car, smoking cannabis. The vehicle was located and they found money, the money around in possession. Abbott's Wharf, theft of a purse, no lines of inquiry. Mumbai Road, criminal damage, it was a point damage on the vehicle, again, there's no lines of inquiry on that. Endeavour Wharf, theft, a female detained on site and arrested. We've had 5 domestic violence incidents in the Spencer area. Mayfield, Auckland Way, we've had criminal damage and scratch to a vehicle. Russell, we've had theft of number plates, inquiries ongoing. State Street, we've had theft of fuel, vehicle believed to be using stolen number plates. Gisborne Road, theft of fuel, again believed to be using false plates. And I believe that those 2 plates are the same plates, but on different vehicles. Statesman, another theft of fuel, again false plates. So there's a group going on, they say the shop theft running people now coming into town with a vehicle. As soon as back to the gate opens on the evening, parking up, going into the shops, coming out with the bus, driving off. We've got a few lines of inquiry with tracking the vehicles down the road. Good news is we've got another fleet manager, Matt Rogers, has started now. He's come over from the response team and he's going to be covering the top end of Central and side end of Rodney Bay. He's started a week ago. He's still kind of a bit of a response stuff, but he's very much a fluid guy with drugs. He's spent a lot of time in the from HQ identifying drugs. So that's going to be good for that side of it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just this one, the central one, this one, is because person proposing to be for HMRC. So was that somebody from Whitby ringing somebody in Whitby?
No, it's a scam phone.
It's national thing.
It's national scam where the ring on, the same information and then the...
So have you got them?
We always pass them down to Active Law, because a lot of it doesn't actually come from this contract. The way we look at crime is where the crime is committed. So
the person that's had the calls reported to Whitby Police.
We report to Whitby Police, and then we pass it to Action Fraud, and they deal with all the fraudulent side of it.
Because it's happening, I've had it several times.
Yeah. I had somebody ringing me the other day saying I've got a problem with my computer. I have a problem with my computer, I can't work it.
Councillor Wells. Just for clarification, if you're ringing a crime, that you see a crime that's actually taken place, and the police don't come to attend that crime, is that crime logged as a crime?
You ring it, the minute you ring it, it is actually logged as an incident.
So should it say on this report how many crimes have been investigated? Because I ran a crime of somebody breaking in to premises where I live, and the police didn't come, and when I asked them today why they didn't come, they said because it's happened before and they don't come.
It will be listed on the stats of this last year.
So if a crime's committed and they don't come, the police don't attend, does it say next to the stats, police did not attend, but it's still listed as a crime?
No, it will actually stay on the breakdown. It will be on those, or should be on those.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you for the comparison of the 2 months.
Yeah.
That's great. You've got all people been arrested. Do they all go to court, or is there a percentage that don't, or?
Yeah, sometimes they don't go to court, it depends on the CPS. Every time somebody's arrested, they put the file together, that goes to CPS, and then they decide how to progress. It could be that they just get a caution, or they could get, in a lot of cases, they get a fixed penalty fine. Like if they're drunk disorderly, they'll be taken out of staff of custody. When they're fit enough to be interviewed, they'll probably be issued with a £90 fine. Full custody and then release. But the more serious ones do go to the magistrate's court or Crown Court, depending on the severity.
Thanks for the clarification.
Councillor Ashton?
Yeah, another clarification question. The theft of fuel, is that going to a filling station and fill it up and then driving off?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's quite common now where they go to the filling station, fill up, don't make any effort to pay. There's a case when we ring them up and they say they've just forgotten for whatever reason and they'll ring up and pay on the debit card.
It's not filling on someone's petrol cap?
No, but these ones now are going around with false plates on the vehicles.
And you say it's usually people from outside the area?
Until we actually pick them up,
Can I just ask, for me, that obviously there's an increase in violent offences. A lot of those alcohol related, and if so, what's actually happening in the town with the pubs and the licensed premises to support the police in reducing these numbers?
There's work going on with the pub watch group, and that's all changing. They've just set up a new pub watch group, looking at finding more people from the pubs, and working with, eventually, or hopefully, outside Whitby. Some of these people that we get coming into Whitby to cause a problem aren't from Whitby. It's like the Windsor Terrace event. That guy wasn't from Whitby. He was here for a weekend. He's decided to fight someone in the street, and he's from the Nottinghamshire area. So it's very hard to ban somebody who just had a run off in Whitby. Unfortunately, the only ones we can ban are the people that are in the Whitby area. We can put a ban on somebody, but if they're not from Whitby, they're not going to come back to Whitby, it can't do the pub. But there is stuff being done with the pubs.
I think it's just concerning, I suppose, the rise again, 75% rise from last year, this time last month. We had the same last month as well. People coming to Whitby are hearing about these stories, and obviously don't want that to have a negative impact on the image of the town.
I totally agree with that one.
And obviously, as you say, people coming in from outside of town, going out, too much drink. So, the licensees having that sort of responsibility to really monitor who's doing what and be in communication and how it all then works with the sort of rules team and so on.
Yeah, most of the pubs are on the Apex radio system. The majority of pubs do have door staff on.
Yeah.
And the door staff do speak quite a lot during the evening. I carry an Apex radio on every Friday, Saturday night, and they're quite regular, the pubs calling up, and they call the CCTV to monitor the people moving around town. We just got the new system up and running, although we've got a few teething problems with it. We've got a lot better camera system than what we ever had.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Allen?
I was just wondering, because obviously year on year we're comparing the weather. This year February was wonderful, and at town was very busy. Do you think that, I'm assuming there's probably more people in town this February than there was last year with the weather?
Yeah, I think that does have a big effect, because we have a bit of a thing that we'll say PC radio. Because when PC radio on duty, people do tend not to fight. So if we have a really wet Saturday evening, they tend not to want to stop in the street or go home, and it does have a big effect. Well, this year, the weather's been fantastic, and it did make it noticeable that people were out and about. You know, a couple of Saturdays ago, the town was absolutely bombed.
Yeah, because just looking like the violence against a person, if there's more people around, then maybe more people being violent to each other.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. You get drink and all close together, these groups are all there, and they want to take them over.
Councillor Shumper.
Yeah, I mean, just on that point, I mean, for me personally, I mean, someone who's lived in the town all life and gone out drinking in the town, it does feel, you don't see as much violence as you used to say maybe 20 years ago. I mean, I think it used to be quite a regular occurrence that you would see fighting in the pub.
Yeah.
But you don't really see that anymore. I mean, obviously it does go on, but not as regular as it used to. So, I mean, it's interesting. You know, it would be interesting to know how many offences they used to get maybe 20 years ago.
I've been in 12 years, and I've noticed that on a Friday, Saturday night, when we look at the night before we come on duty to see what's been going on, who's been arrested, and there's not as many violent jobs coming in on Friday, Saturday night as what we used to have. Nowhere near. You know, it's quite common to have 10 violence jobs overnight. And now sometimes you get a couple. Well, some of them are more violent.
Yeah.
That's the thing with it, the more violence. It's changed slightly, because I think people are probably taking more than just a few pints of tetanus. You know, years ago they used to have now they're taking other things along with it.
That's a really good point.
Which does make them a lot more violent.
Is that everybody? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor that Councillor Smith, Secretary, Councillor Coghlan, all in favour that we be pleased for. Thank you. County and Board Councillor. Councillor Knox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As most of you know, one of the big items on the agenda for Council last week was needed. And I'd like to take this opportunity to set out for you why we are where we are and what actions have been taken since the last meeting in this chamber. It is a complex matter, and it is not best explained by dealing with the issues in chronological sequence. Most recently, last Friday, we had the motion put to full council. The full council resolves that in recognition of legitimate criticism of the ballot process underpinning the Yorkshire Coast D-bid, to set aside all involvement with this and other D-bids for a period of 5 years. The council does not have the legal authority to do this. The legal term is ultra vires. We cannot commit a future administration to not do something which may be of benefit to the community. I'm not referring solely to the current D-bid, but to any other that might emerge in the next 5 years. Note here that the council administration is 4 years long and D-bid is 5. So we could have attempted to prevent the next administration from acting in the interests of the community, and the administration after that for 25% of its tenure. It might be worth mentioning here that the seconder to the motion did not even attend to speak to the motion that he had signed. If we had approved the full motion, it would have prevented Graham Collinson's initiative from getting off the ground, because that could be seen as a variation on the D-bid where the council would be required to hold and distribute the money. It would also prevent any organisation setting up an association of businesses to contribute to a central fund for either tourism, businesses for the community at large. Notwithstanding the above, businesses in the East Riding of Yorkshire Council have agreed to proceed with the bid. If SBC had attempted to block it completely last Friday, I can assure you that those businesses south of the border would have gone straight away to the Secretary of State saying that we had not only acted ultra vires, but were guilty of gross malfeasance in public office because we had prevented them from doing something which they see as a benefit to their communities. The Secretary of State, or more likely the Ombudsman, would then have had a very brief but very robust conversation with our Chief Executive, telling him to undo the decision. We would then have had no negotiating capacity with either Mosaic or the DBID task group. Please note that much of what I have said is based on possibility and not certainty. I did not think it worth taking the risk that any of the events that I've described could take place. For that reason, I propose the amendment so that the motion read, full council resolves that in recognition of legitimate criticism of the ballot process underpinning the Yorkshire Coast DBID, to set aside all involvement with it until such time as the Secretary of State has determined the appeal. We will then consider our position along with the business community and will have the opportunity to take considered advice. It's worth mentioning here that Clive Evans, chairman of the DBID task group, has stated on Yorkshire Coast Radio that if the appeal that has been put to the Secretary of State fails, then the DBID task group will proceed with implementing it as it is entitled to do. Now, they may not be his precise words, but trust me, they're close enough to what he said. The motion, as originally proposed, would have entitled him to do exactly that because we would have been instructed to change the decision. Now, going back to the 12th of February, the leader of the council, Derek Basserman, preempted all this and wrote to Clive Evans and to Kelly Carruthers as follows. Just following on from your telephone conversation and all the other niceties, he says, Scarborough Council would request that the DBID task group put a hold on any further development of the DBID organisation until such time that the Secretary of State has responded as a result of the appeal and the queries contained with that appeal have been responded to. Scarborough Council will not be in a position to approve any operating agreement until such time this appeal has been dealt with, and due to election rules in terms of decision making, will not be able to approve this until after the elections in June or July. Scarborough Council will not be able to appoint any representative to the board until such time that the council has approved the appointment, which again will be after the elections. Again, this is due to election rules. Scarborough Council is increasingly concerned that there are a number of businesses, mainly in Whitby, who are very unhappy with the way in which the DBID has been communicated to businesses, or not, as some are reporting. In relation to the draft terms of reference of the company, these have been forwarded to SBC's legal team for perusal. Coming now more up to date to the 26th of February, we had a telephone conference with Mo Aswat from Mosaic. On our side were Councillors Derek Basserman, Sandra Turner and Helen Mallory, along with the Commercial Director Richard Bradley, the Senior Solicitor, the Elections Manager and me. I led the discussion. Note here that Mo Aswat was scheduled to be at the meeting but ducked out. Sorry, he didn't duck out, he apologised at the last minute. As a result of that conference, Derek Basserman was able to write to Mo Aswat as follows. I'll exclude the niceties. As discussed, a significant number of businesses in the borough have raised genuine concerns with the council about the lack of engagement and awareness raising with them in the lead up to the DB vote. Some have lodged an appeal to that effect to the Secretary of State. The council wishes to echo those concerns and express a lack of confidence in the processes used to raise awareness and understanding of the DBID and to encourage participation in the DB vote. These concerns only come to light following the result of the vote. This places the council in an extremely difficult position, given the level of opposition and the impact this will have on the council maintaining effective relations with the business community and the collection of any DB levy. These issues need to be resolved, together with the clear demonstration that the business community are satisfied with the response from Mosaic and the current DB task group. Please could you therefore provide us with as much detail as possible regarding the following. The consultation that was carried out prior to the vote: when, where, who was invited and how, and who attended. The methods and frequency of all of the communications with businesses. Which business types are liable to pay the bid levy and why? Which types of businesses are exempt and why? What do you intend to do to address the concerns with the businesses? We look forward to hearing from you as a matter of extreme urgency, and thank you in advance for your cooperation. We shall be sending a copy of this letter and your response to the Secretary of State and to the Chair of the current DBID Task Group, Clive Ray Evans. If the motion as originally written had been passed, notwithstanding any of the consequences of that, the League's correspondence with Clive Ray Evans and Van Aswat would have been worthless had the SOS intervened, as I described. As it is, we have asked some searching questions of Mosaic, and we've set our stall out to the DB group. As it is now, we feel that the Council is slightly on the front foot, in that we have asked questions that the businesses may not have asked, and are in a strong position to dig deeper, should that be necessary. As at close of business today, I can tell you that we have not heard from the Secretary of State, the DB group, or Mosaic. I think I've told you about as much as there is to tell. I've kept nothing back. I've tried to be as open and transparent about this as I can. We await the responses from the SOS, and this may possibly be further delayed because of the communications that we have sent and the need for us to await responses. A week from today we will be in further proceeding the elections and so severely limited in the decisions that can be taken. But when the decisions are taken, you may be assured that Councillor Sandra Turner and I will have a lot to say. Frankly, I hope there will be a reballot. It will then be the job of the businesses to make sure that this time the businesses open their post and read it. Trust me, those businesses that support the DB will most certainly be reading theirs. Madam Mayor, I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
I always want to ask a couple of questions, because I have obviously got a few more to get on. And one of the things that I'm questioning, and a lot of the businesses are questioning, is something that hasn't been asked of this task group, is how the task group, Clive Evans and the rest of the people underneath him, took it upon themselves to appoint Mosaic, and by what process were they elected into those positions?
As has been said before, any DB is a private sector-led enterprise. If a group of people decide to get together and put a bid on, then no authority can influence them in the decisions as to who they appoint to do that. Mosaic is a company that is employed by them, it's a sort of marketing front almost for the DB, and they can appoint whoever they like to do it, and no authority can have any influence in that, because truly private sector led.
So as I say, my main concern, I mean, whether we are going to discuss this at a later stage, but it was just the terms of the membership I find a great concern, and that's something that I have come to have a look at in great detail. And I'm sure that the council here, do you want me to wait until we get to that?
Can we wait until we get to that point?
Okay.
I'm happy to make a point on that, Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
We still are going through with the terms of membership that they've laid out. But it would be unwise to challenge those in any way or make any comment on them until we know the decision of the Secretary of State and the words the Secretary of State uses to come to that decision. Once we've got that, then we can address all of the issues. But I don't see any point in looking at bits of it now that may be a complete waste of effort in about 3 or 4 weeks' time or however. And does that sound reasonable?
It was just something that I wanted this council to have a look at for themselves, having rejected it unanimously. I wanted them to have a look very carefully at what they are being asked to join a membership that is from non-elected people that maintain that they are going to continue to be the board for the next 12 months and that no member of this council can join because A, we're a council, and B, because we rejected the bid, so they can say we don't want you on our board. So those are the sorts of issues that I think really do need addressing.
Yeah, I just think the response the Borough is constrained by legislation. Obviously the legislation is there, which governs quite a lot of the DB process. I mean, is the Borough's response constrained by that?
Are we constrained?
Yeah, I mean, in the way...
Oh yes, the setting up of the bid and the running of it is clearly laid out in legislation. It's the DB Regulation 2004, and we are completely bound by it. What rules Mosaic or the DB task group put in place are something that can be negotiated and discussed. But we can't manipulate the specifications within the regulation. One of the regulations is that the local authority has to run the ballot. It can't be anybody else other than the local authority. The local authority has to collect the levy and it has to agree with the DB the rate at which it is dispersed to them. But we have to collect it and we are obliged by the regulations to enforce collection. And believe me, we have no appetite to do that. None whatsoever.
Councillor Mr Davis.
Anyway, the question that I was going to ask has partly been answered, but I'm going to ask it anyway. The DB process is, as you've explained, private enterprise. It's initiated by a private enterprise. The private enterprise decides what's going to happen, what the money is going to be raised for, who's party to it, etc. And yet the money is collected by yourselves as a public body, as the council. How does that interface between the two occur? Because it seems to me that interface between private sector and public sector isn't something that I commonly come across anywhere else. So how does that intersection occur? Are you told what to do by the private enterprise, or do you have any means of interfacing, altering the way that they go about things? Do you have any powers at all, or are you simply told what to do by the private enterprise?
Now, the DB group decides upon the rateable value as the limit at which the levy will be charged. They also decide the rate at which it will be charged. The demands are sent out usually with the rest of the council tax bills, but this year they will be later for obvious reasons. We then have to collect that money in the normal way. Now, the DB group may say it can be payable monthly, or 10 instalments, or it has to be paid quarterly, or 50% up front and then 225s, I don't know. But whatever they decide to do, that's the way we have to do it.
Councillor, could I just say, Councillor, I know it's an ongoing situation, but I do appreciate the update you've just given, because I found it quite helpful to know what the input is on the Borough Council. Thank you.
Councillor Alston.
You say that any group of people can form a group and then put in a DB proposal. So could businesses in Whitby form their own group and put their own DB proposal?
Yes. Let us assume then that the appeal succeeds. and if the current DB is dismissed, the group of people in Whitby could then decide to form their own DB for a different area with different criteria, but you'd still be bound by the DB regulation of 2004, but you could do it. If the appeal fails, then you won't be able to do it because you only have one.
And on a question that I think you may recall the very first meeting that we had, we still seem to be uncertain about how to expedite. The votes that were put through from the council on the arrangements that are owned by the council, for instance here at Whitby, we had a meeting and full discussion about whether we supported the bid on the arrangements that we would likely to pay the levy for. Nobody can recall that.
Point of order, Madam Chair, we've been through all this at the last meeting.
If you need to ask those questions, can you ask
When we
them
were business,
outside the council chamber, or when we come to the item on the agenda? Because you've no powers to make, while you're in this particular bit, you've no powers to make any decisions or any resolutions.
No, that wasn't the intention.
Yeah.
That wasn't the intention.
Yeah.
I think what Hero's trying to get at is we had, as an authority, we had 33 votes.
I move business.
Yeah, you have to move progress.
I'm sorry?
Move progress. We're going round in circles here.
Would you like me to answer?
Do you want to answer it later?
Okay.
To Hero.
Thank you. Item number 4, public participation. The Chairman will suspend standing orders for up to 15 minutes to allow members of the public to ask questions, make statements, or give evidence about business items on the agenda, limited to 3 minutes per person.
Mr. Freed wants to speak.
My history, for many years has been studying conceptual framework for regeneration of coastal communities and market towns. Whitby came up purely because my sister, a very inspirational educationist, was inspired by Whitby and looking at the history of the which you've got a very small statue before you. This has now been launched on the 15th to the 17th of March at St. Chris Street, where there is a water system that I've uncovered and restored, it's 30 years old and still working. Water is part of the government's critical infrastructure strategy for carbon reductions, and therefore with the hypothesis in place and the way that it can be managed and cultural change, we can attract investment to Whitby. This was put forward to both county, district and local authority before the grid system was discussed already. We have the opportunity to make a good return on the investment. I've invested £500,000 so far. My payback is to see it work. I know that it can work. What I need is just a time, and this is a request for your good selves to give me 1 hour to give you that analysis and how it can work to regenerate Whitby and to bring in a good return on the investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, Peter Scott, I live on Elwood Terrace. Can I just bring to your attention, please, the Old Sherry parking. Currently, we find ourselves in a situation where the parking ride is not going to be open until Easter. Easter is late this year. I don't know if everybody's been walking on the harbour recently, but I was down at the co-op this morning, and very interesting to see the amount of spaces that have been taken out of the Endeavour Wharf car park for the Alpha B set to the piers. Can I bring to your attention, please, not only is Endeavour Wharf being used by Alpha B, I'm also led to believe that Yorkshire Water have requested additional parking spaces to be removed from the car park and to use.
this is in addition to Tin Goat Car Park, which is closed.
No. Church Street.
Sorry, I call it Tin Goat, that's what. Yeah, close enough. But basically, I just want to bring to your attention that we've got a little bit of problem starting to occur. The season's just around the corner, parking rides that will be working, we've got less spaces available. Another thing that I would bring to your attention as well, it's only a small thing, but it all adds up. Outside the sorting office, the parking restrictions inside W zone have been changed in as much as that you can no longer use that area with a scratch card between the hours of, I think it's 9 and 3 or something like that. That's another 8 spaces that have been taken from inside W zone. Now, it sounds as though I'm just banging on about the same old thing, but what I'm trying to get over to everybody is 80–90% of people that visit Whitby come in a car. We haven't got a direct rail link like Scarborough from York and things like that. We're dependent upon people coming. My concern is that they're going to get here, we're going to have problems with people finding places to park. I'm not aware, I have been involved with Council Smith at Scarborough, I'm not aware of any additional parking being added anywhere currently. I'm not aware of any new, dare I say, signage which will alleviate the problem to tell people, don't come down there, go park here, because that car park is closed. All I'm trying to do is bring it to your attention so that somebody can sort of pick it up and make it a little bit more important. Thank you.
Yeah, well, after Councillor Timson said, we've already written over a month ago to the Borough Council, the County Council, the passenger transport that run the park and ride. We had another meeting last Monday and we've resolved to send more letters about they need to put in matrix signs, they need to open the park and ride earlier. So we are aware, we are on it. Okay?
Did anything happen with Yorkshire Water? Because I was sort of asking Yorkshire Water if there was any way that, because they're using the Church Street car park that's completely shut, that they would supply some sort of...
Well, I think that would have to come, I mean, we requested that, but I think that would have to come through the Borough Council because they're using the Borough Council's car park.
Right.
So I think that's the way it would have to work.
No, it's just good because, I mean, I had a problem, I've emailed Councillor Smith yesterday with those issues, exercises, to the point of like, the car parks which have got spaces in, or car parks that haven't got spaces in. And maybe using land that is available, that is not being used at the moment for car parks. I mean, as you say, it is a concern. One of the spaces being taken.
My big concern is the fact that parking vans is opening later. And as we've seen over half term, you know, we've got this big...
That's also something that we're quickly on as well.
It's just, my understanding is that Church Street car park will be shut for the rest of the year, because once Yorkshire Water go, it will be taken over by the firm doing the flood defences.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to speak? Item number 5, Mayor's Report, Civic Engagement for February 2019. Can we have a closing and do it with these after? Councillor Cogman, Councillor Wilson, all in favour? Thank you. Item number 6, 6A, a letter sent by Council for information only. Councillor Trumbull? Have you got seconded? Councillor Smith? All in favour? B, items for circulation and information only. 1, dates for notice of election and submission of nominations.
Yeah, I actually circulated a couple of other things tonight. One of which is the Amy I've lost it. That's the one, yeah, the update on the recovery plant where they recover all the waste at South Allerton. Also, I've circulated some extra information relating to Mr. Flute's proposal regarding the hour-long presentation, and you've also got a map of the wards for the election. Yeah, that's
Can we receive that motion? Councillor Trumper, Councillor Harston, all in favour? Thank you. 7, letters received by the council. 7A, response from Friends of Planet Heart, Flux event.
Members recall we had received a request from Mr. Rowe about finding a bench, putting a clock on a bench outside, and we said we would write to the Friends of Planet Park to get their opinion. Obviously, you've got their opinion in front of you. Steve?
Councillor Wilson, all in favour? B, Yorkshire Coast Big, a letter from the cash group chair.
Yeah, this is a standard letter that's been sent out to all people who pay business rates over the £12,000 limit about becoming a member of the company and becoming a director. When you have a quick look at the actual application for the company membership, you have to state that you're not a local authority person. So I think that pretty much rules out that we can't appoint somebody or nominate somebody as a director.
Councillor Trumper.
I just think it just shows another level of their incompetence for being sent this letter in the first place. I mean, where can you go from here? I mean, we just need to wait until the Secretary of State gets back with this.
The thing is, it is pretty much a standard company membership that was for a deed or a bid, as it were. But the very nature of it, there is a secrecy clause in it that states that if you go to the meetings and you're a member, you're not allowed to actually discuss anything that was discussed if the board decides. The board is going to stand as it is at the moment for the next year, because you have to be a board director, and if they don't want you to be in their club, they don't have to give a reason, and you have to support what they say. So the whole idea is that you give these people money, they do what they want with it, and we have no say.
Councillor Trumper.
I just think, yeah, I mean, if obviously the Secretary of State comes back and doesn't find in favour of the appeal, then I do think we do need...
I don't think it was right, but at least he's bothered to respond to the fact that we've got concerns, certainly to an argument that the business lost its vote because they had no letterboxes, seems somewhat unusual. Particularly as one business owner pointed out to me, they managed to get the business rates built to them somehow. So please keep me up to speed with developments, and certainly this can only go ahead if there is a genuine support from local businesses. He also notes that he's pleased that the council are thinking again and understand that the way the bollock was operated has many flaws. As I say, he's not the Secretary of State, his decision isn't final, but he's with us as well, and he's supporting the council in their support as well.
Can we just, sorry, Councillor Smith.
And we just also propose that whilst we're receiving this, we send a letter back to them saying that as we are deep concerned about the application for company membership, we found ourselves unable to receive this communication.
Anybody want to say on that?
I don't know how we can replace them, it would be safe not to receive.
We can't replace something we haven't discussed.
Yeah.
I just think,
I think we will do
it's a good point, but I just think we said, look, again, it just shows the level of your competence, like you said, the local authority president can't be a member of the DB team, so, you know, it would be respectful for you to come and speak with us.
Yeah. Can I just point out that you've had a motion proposed and seconded,
Oh,
you need to vote on
yeah.
that.
I'm happy to withdraw.
Yeah. So you're going to make another proposal now that we write back.
So yeah, we're just, again, it just shows Netherlands do a concentrated centre.
I think it's the reaction has been absolutely diabolical from these people. Absolutely diabolical. And it's supposed to be professionals at this. And, you know, as a significant state. And yeah, there's that case.
Do we have to say a level of your incompetence? It's a bit, could we say a level?
Well, it would be working in a more friendly approach. Yeah. So we've got a motion on the table.
Yeah.
I think we've got a good 50 seconds.
Yeah, we've got to deal with that perspective, I think.
Okay,
Let's level of incompetence.
the elected chair.
Are we going to ask them to come here?
Yes.
And that's, so that's really good, we're very stakeholders in the town.
So, all in favour of that motion? Yes, unanimous.
No, the first got smart.
Well, we don't receive it back in the response yet.
Item C, Estelle School Federation outcome. Councillor Wilson, Councillor Jensen, all in favour?
They got them back door,
It's a bit different.
Yeah,
it's different. D, East Riding of the Yorkshire Council, acknowledgement of views on the Yorkshire Coast Bit. Councillor Dalrymple, Councillor Robertson, all in favour? I feel like right from the guys. Jackson. I feel like Robertson in my head. E, Whitby 2025 offer of the Flew Foundation to deliver a presentation to the Council on the Whitby 2025 programme. Councillor Wilson.
Because this is coming up to the elections, and I was wondering, would it be better for Mr. Flew to do his presentation to say the annual assembly, so that people that would be open to members of the public, and who would get the wider audience?
Yeah, sounds a good idea. We could even ask the Civic Society along.
Yeah? Yeah.
You quite happy with that?
Fantastic opportunity, thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Councillor Wilson proposed it, Councillor Wilson seconded, all in favour? That's unanimous. 8, committee recommendations. Consider and make any decisions on any recommendations arising from the committee meeting. S, 581/19, approval of payments. Members approve payments on behalf of the Council for the 19th of February 2019, proposed by Councillor C. Winsby, seconded by Councillor Isabel White, and unanimously recommended that schedule of payments up to the 19th of February 2019 in the sum of £20,000 and £20.72 as attached are approved for payment and submitted to full council.
Question.
Yeah.
This is the Yorkshire item of the tour lines, etc.
Yes.
Can I ask how it's been funded? Because I've seen the figure we need £10,000.
Already money.
Great. How much do we need then?
Right.
And where is it coming from?
Right. I've already got, I can't say too much because I've already got pledges of approaching £6,000. I've also got a lot of other in-kind things that will go into the tote bag. Right. We've got a very good deal on the tote bags because they say Planet Art Gallery on one side and Whitby Town Council on the other, and the ones that we don't need for the Yorkshire Day will then be sold to the Planet Art Gallery for them to resell to the public. So at that point we'll be covering. So at the moment we haven't got a budget line for spending anything. for that. So I put through the Yorkshire Day budget,
Yeah.
which is the subscription plus the tote bags. But when we discuss environments later this month, at the finance meeting, we will be wiring some money from elsewhere to take care of that overspend on that budget.
Yeah.
And I've got meetings with
Yeah.
this group, this organisation, that organisation, and
I'm just, thank you for clarification.
there will be something going to the finance and general purposes about what the town council's contribution is going to be and where that comes from.
Just a quick one on the registration. I mean, that's the registration that the mayors will give.
The subscription,
Subscription.
yeah, that we have to subscribe every year
Yes.
to the Yorkshire Society.
All right.
So part of that on there was a subscription.
As well.
And then
Okay. Oh, I'm with you.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarification.
Okay, no problem.
Councillor Smith.
Sorry, can I just inquire what the ASL marketing plans were?
Oh, yeah, the toilets, our toilets, you know, the David Hutton.
Yeah.
We have them put on some vinyl. They're not vinyl, but like, the signs have got a stick on the back of every single door, advertising the gallery, the museum and the park. But it's come through a joint marketing initiative with Pan Art Gallery and with Friends Pan Park and the museum, which means that we'll get the money back. We're splitting it between the three.
Thanks very much. That's it. Any other questions?
That's what I was posing.
Right, that's it.
A second for that?
Jonathan, Councillor. Oh,
Sorry. All in favour? Item 9, motion to Item 10, minutes. To confirm the minutes of the following council meetings and receive minutes of the committee meetings from Hewitt.
And what please?
Okay, second, just take them on block. Councillor Wilson, all in favour, that we take them on block. Now can we have a proposal to confirm and receive? Councillor Hampton, Councillor Collins, all in favour. Thank you very much. Members' reports, to receive reports from members nominated to represent council outside bodies.
Hello. Mariah's here.
I think Helen might have gone.
I think Councillor Martin might have gone, but obviously she's not here.
12, living awareness, standing items, height above 5.5 metres. The 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd and 24th of March 2019.
Received.
Councillor Jason. Councillor Dalrymple, all in favour? Item 13, potash development. No, there's not that one. I was at the last meeting, but Matt has kind of been to our meeting a couple of days before it, so it's not anything. Yeah. Right, we do this on Right, Linda, what are you doing Friday morning, 9:30? Jack Sam and bring it killed. Which one? John and Dan. Daniel, we'll call him Daniel, but we're going to have to do a dance. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.